Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over the updated rules of the Imperial Navy Breachers. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games and Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support as well. But yeah, I'll be going over the updated rules for the Imperial Navy Breachers, which you can find on Warhammer Community and the Kill Team app. So let's get on with it. So for your roster, you're still security and seek and destroy, which is okay. And then you are now, once again, a 12 operative kill team. I believe it used to be 11, although I think it still was 12. No, I think it was 11. Regardless, you are now a 12 operative kill team. You have a leader, who is your sergeant at arms, who can either have the shotgun and hatchet, or one of each of the following, either the bolt pistol and the heirloom bolt pistol, or the chainsword or power weapon. Then you have 11 other breachers, so you can have the armsman, the axe jack, the cat, the endurant, the guy skull, the grenadier, 3 different gunners, either with a las volley, melter gun or plasma gun, hatch cutter, surveyor, and void jammer. So if you take the guy skull or the cat, they count as half an operative selection each. And then other than the armsman and gunner options, you can have only each one once, but you can have up to 2 gunners. And you can only include the guy skull if you select the void jammer, and you can only include the cat if you select the surveyor, which is nice, you know? So that's the only restrictions and changes. Otherwise, it's pretty much how it was last edition. For your faction rules, you have void armor. So whenever an operative is shooting a friendly operative, if the ranged weapon of that sequence has blast or torrent, excluding weapons that have a sweeping profile, you can reroll 1 of your defense dice or up to 2 of your defense dice if that's the grenadier they're shooting at. Friendly operatives aren't affected by X devastating X weapon rules unless they're the original target. This is unchanged. Then you've got breach and clear. Once per turning point, when a friendly operative that's ready is activated, you can use this rule. If you do select 1 friendly ready operative visible and within 3, when that first operative is expended, you can activate that other friendly operative before your opponent activates. And then when it's expended, your opponent can activate as normal. Both of these are unchanged and still very useful abilities, especially on Gallodark. For strategy ploys, you have attack order. Place your attack order marker in the kill zone. Whenever a friendly operative is within 3 inches of that marker is shooting, fighting, or retaliating, his weapons have the ceaseless weapon rule. In the ready step of the next strategy phase, remove that marker. You cannot use this ploy and the defense order in the same strategy phase. Then you've got defense order, where you place your defense order marker in the kill zone. Whenever an operative is shooting a friendly operative within 3 inches of that marker, you can reroll any of your defense dice results of 1 result, e.g. 2. In the ready step of the next strategy phase, remove that marker. You can't use it in the same time as you use the attack order. These are unchanged. The only thing that's changed is they used to be balanced. Now they're ceaseless, which is great. Really good. Then you have close assault. Whenever a friendly operative is fighting or shooting an operative within 3 inches of it, that friendly operative's weapons have the punishing weapon rule. This is a nice change, because before, if you rolled 2 or more successes, you could turn a miss into a hit. So at least they now actually have to roll a crit, which is good, more balanced. Then you've got brace for counterattack. Whenever an operative is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against a friendly operative that hasn't performed a charge, fallback, or reposition action during this turning point, normal and critical damage of 4 or more inflicts 1 less damage on that friendly operative. This used to be 3, it's gone up to 4. So I know, actually, ignore me. It's fine, it's unchanged. Just ignore me. Mad rambling. So still really good. For firefight ploys, you have overwhelm target. Use this when you use the breach and clear faction rule. Select 1 friendly operative. Until the end of that operative's activation, add 1 to its APL stat. So when you group activate 2 different operatives with breach and clear, you can give 1 of them to get +1 APL. Very useful, but remember, it only works when you're doing that breach and clear. Then you've got Blitz. Use this firefight ploy when a friendly operative performs a shoot or fight action, and you select an enemy operative within 6 inches of it as a valid target to shoot or fight against. If it's the first friendly operative to perform either of those actions during the turning point, its weapons have the accurate 1 weapon rule for that action. If it's the first friendly operative to be activated during this turning point, they also have the severe for that action. So this has been changed. It used to be unlimited range, now it's only within 6. Otherwise, it's exactly the same and still very, very powerful, but only is useful when you're going, well, first during each turning point. Then you've got Lock It Down. Use this firefight ploy when an operative is activated. Select 1 marker until the end of the battle or until use this ploy again, whichever comes first. When determining control of that objective marker, treat friendly operative's APL stat as 1 higher. No, it's not a change to the APL stat, so other changes are cumulative. Really good if you just want to steal, let's say, the central objective. Then you've got Deckhand. Use this firefight ploy during a friendly operative's activation. If it has an APL stat of 1 or 2, the operative can perform the free operate hatch action during its activation, and you can do so during a charge or fallback action. You cannot use this ploy if the access point has been welded shut. unless it's a friendly hatch cut operatives activation. This is limited to Gallo Dark, but it's a very useful ploy, especially for your melee operatives, as now you can charge and open a door for free. Really useful. For operatives, you have your Sergeant at Arms, who has 2 APL, a 6-inch move, a 4-up save, and 8 wounds. This is the standard profile for your kill team. Everyone else has 7 wounds, your leader has 8. It's got the Bolt Pistol, which is 4 attacks hitting on 4s, 3-4 range 8, that you stay on 3s. The Heirloom Auto Pistol, which is 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 2-4 range 8, lethal 5-up. Then you've got the Navis Shotgun Close Range, which is 4 attacks in on 3s, 3-3 range 6. Then Long Range, which is 4 attacks in on 5s, 1-2. Then you've got the Chainsword, which is 4 attacks in on 3s, 4-5. The Hatchet, which is 3 attacks in on 4s, 3-4. And the Power Weapon, which is 4 attacks in on 3s, 4-6. You've got Command Breach, so once during each of this operative's activations, before or after it performs an action, if your attack order or defense order is in the kill zone, you can remove it and place it again, so you cannot change to the other ploy. Your leader has been nerfed because before it used to give you attack or defense for free. So thank goodness for everyone that has gone. But the bolt pistol's worse. I think now you just always go with the auto pistol and power weapon because that is literally the best option. Otherwise, the chainsword doesn't have anything like ceaseless and the bolt pistol just hits on 4s. I just use the auto pistol. You've got your Armsman, who is your standard warrior. It has a Navis shotgun and a hatchet. It's got group activation, so after it activates, you select another Armsman to activate, so you can activate 2 operatives in a row. Otherwise, unchanged, they're just okay. You've got your Axejack, who has an auto pistol, which is 4 attacks in on 4s, 2-3, range 8, and then a power weapon, which is 4 attacks in on 3s, 4-6, lethal 5-up. It's got Emboldened. Whenever an attack dice inflicts 3 or more damage on this operative during a turning point in which you perform the charge action, roll a d6. On a 5-up, subtract 1 from that inflicted damage. So it's lost weight in, but it's basically become Emboldened. It's alright, still pretty good, a solid melee unit. Then you've got your Cat, who has 2 APL now from 1, an 8-inch move, a 5-up save, and 5 wounds. It's got the Machine ability, so this operative cannot be activated or perform actions if it's within control range of enemy operatives, or if a friendly Surveyor operative has been incapacitated. The turning point can end even if this operative is still ready, so once your Surveyor is dead, or this is trapped in combat, it just literally freezes. This operative cannot perform any actions other than charge, dash, and fallback action or reposition and spot. It cannot retaliate, assist, or fight in combat or climb or jump. Whenever determining control of objective markers, it counters 1 APL. While it has a conceal order, it has super conceal order. And when determining what's visible, you measure from any part of the miniature. It's expendable, so it doesn't count towards your kill op or any other markers, so your opponent doesn't get anything for killing it. Then it's got spot for 1 action point. Select 1 enemy operative visible to this operative until the end of the turning point, until the enemy operative is no longer visible to this operative, or this operative performs this action again. Whenever a friendly operative is shooting that operative, you can use this effect. If you do, that friendly operative's ranged weapons have the Seek Light, and the enemy can't be obscured. So before, it works effectively quite similar, but before it used to turn off their terrain completely, so they just counted as being in the open. It's more restrictive, but it's still very useful because now you can move, then spot instead of requiring something else to make you spot. So useful. It has lost its ability to do a free reposition in this after the strategy phase, but spot is very powerful considering it just doesn't need range. It just needs to be visible. So it's better picking on targets that aren't, well, have already activated and are expended, but otherwise really good. Then you've got the Endurant, who has a 2 APL, a 4-inch move, 2-up save, 10 wounds. This is unchanged. It's on a 28mm base. It's got the Heavy Shotgun Close Range, which is 4 attacks in on 3s, 3-3 range 6 Relentless, one of the few profiles to keep Relentless. Then the Long Range profile, which is 4 attacks in on 5s, 1-2 Relentless. Shield Bash, which is 3 attacks in on 4s, 1-2 Brutal Shield. Breach Rule, whenever your opponent is selecting a valid target, they cannot select another friendly Imperial Navy Breacher operative whose base is touching this operative, as this operative has an engage order and is intervening. This rule has no effect if more than 1 friendly operative's base is touching this operative, so it acts as a shield wall. It's got shield. Whenever this operative is fighting or retaliating with this weapon, each of your blocks can be allocated to block 2 unresolved successes instead of 1, and it's got disengage, so this operative can perform the fallback action for 1 AP less. All unchanged, still a very solid unit and slow. Then you've got a Geist Skull, who is also 2 APL, 8-inch move, 5-up save, and 5 wounds. Cannot perform any other unique actions other than boost and everything else. Cannot assist or retaliate in a fight. Whenever it's 1 APL and whenever it has a conceal order, it's kind of super conceal. It doesn't have the drawback of the Cat, where if it's trapped in combat, it can't activate, or if the person you have to take it with dies. It's expendable, so it doesn't count towards your kill op or purposes of dying. And then you've got boost. Until the end of this activation, add 6 inches to the operative's move stat, and this operative can only perform it once per battle and cannot perform it during the first turning point. So what turning point 2 you boost, so you can charge 14 inches, well actually not even 14 inches, you would charge 16 inches into someone, then you can like breach and clear and blow up, which we'll cover in a moment. You have lost fly, so it's not as free to move around as it used to be, but now it's not an infinite straight line, so still useful. Then you've got the Grenadier, who has the Demolition Charge, which is 4 attacks, hit on freeze, 4/6, range 3 used to be range 4, blast 2, heavy reposition only, limited 1, piercing 1, saturate, and then it's got a shotgun and hatchet. It's got the Grenadier ability, so this optic can use frag and crack and stun grenades. Doing so doesn't count towards your limit, and also it counts as +1 to hit. It's very useful, still great, although the Demolition Charge is harder to use because now it's lost being able to reposition and dash, which most grenades have. So you can reposition 6 inches, then throw it, but you also come with stuns and frags and cracks, which makes it very, very useful. Then you've got your Gunner, who is on a 28mm base and has 8 wounds compared to everyone else who has 7. So it can take a melter gun, which is 4 attacks, hit on 4, 6 free, range 6, devastating 4, piercing 2. The volley gun focus, which is 5 attacks from 6, hitting on 4s, 4, 5 from 3, 4, heavy dash only, rending. It's lost relentless. Then the sweeping profile is 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, 4, 5, heavy dash, rending, torrent 1. Then you've got the plasma gun, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, 4, 6, piercing 1. And then when you supercharge, 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, 5, 6, hot, lethal 5 up, piercing 1, and then a gun bar, which is 3 attacks, hitting on 4s, 2 free. So you always take the melter gun because the melter gun is great. I think the las volley is better than the plasma gun, right? You have 1 less crit damage, but you have 1 more attack dice, and you have rending. So even if you like can pop, what do you call it, blitz, you could, or you just roll a crit in general, which I believe is like a 57% chance on 5 dice. So you're very likely to do a lot of damage. My problem with the plasma, the moment you overcharge, you have a high chance of doing 6 damage to yourself, which would leave you on 2 wounds. But you can take the plasma gun if you never plan to overcharge it. Otherwise, still very useful. Then you've got your hatch cutter as an auto pistol and chain fist. The chain fist is 4 attacks, hit on 4s, 5, 6 brutal rending. It's got weld shut for 1 action point. Select a closed hatchway on Gallow Dark within this operative's control range. 1 additional action point must be spent for other operatives to perform the operate hatch action on that to open that hatchway. This effect ends when the hatchway is open. Note this operative isn't affected by this effect, and you cannot perform this while within control range of an enemy operative or if it isn't within 1 inch of a closed hatchway. Very, very useful. Remember, your other operatives can't open it for 1 AP, so if you weld it, everyone else is stuck there. Then you've got breach point. For 1 action point, place one of your breach marker within this operative's control range, close as possible to a terrain feature within control range of it. Whenever an operative is within 1 inch of that marker, treats parts of that terrain feature as no more than 1 inch thick as accessible. So you cannot perform this while in control range of enemy operatives, and if you're not within control range of a terrain feature. This has been changed. So it's it used to be a bigger bubble. You still have to, it's accessible, so you still have to move through the center of it, but enemy operatives can use it as well. So you can't just willy-nilly create holes that only your, like the reason, like last edition, they were breacher only breach points. Now anyone can use them if you cut a hole, but they still don't work on Gallow Dark walls. The hatch cut is still very useful, especially when you're blitzing, because if you go 4 attacks, hit on 4s, 5, 6, brutal rending with severe. So if you get a hit, then you proc the crits. So that's very good. Then you've got the Surveyor, who has a shotgun and hatchet. It's got Wayfind for 1 action point as a support. Select 1 other friendly operative, excluding the cat or guy skull, visible within 6 inches of the operative, or visible and within 6 inches of the cat. Until the end of the operative's next activation, add +1 APL. For the purpose of the comms device equipment, the operative distance is being determined from who must control the marker. So if your cat controls the marker, it's 9 inches. If it's your Surveyor, it's 9 inches from the Surveyor. Unchanged. Then you've got remote control. Select 1 friendly cat unit operative. The operative can immediately perform 1 free action, but it cannot move more than 3 inches during the action, so it can like dash away or do its spot action. This operative cannot perform this action while within control range of enemy units or if the cat is dead. So otherwise, unchanged. The Surveyor is still great. Then you've got the Void Jammer, who has the Geist Skull Detonator and Shotgun and Hatchet. So the Detonator is 4 attacks, hit on freeze, 3/4, blast 1, lethal 5 up, limited 1, silent, stun, detonate. So detonate, don't select a valid target. Instead, a friendly Imperial Navy Geistskull operative is always treated as a primary target, and you cannot be in cover or obscured. If that operative isn't in the kill zone, you cannot select this weapon. So you do technically hit the skull, so the skull will die, and it used to be 2 free lethal X based on your armor save. So it's now higher base damage, but not as good, but it's silent and stun, so you're more likely to proc stuff. You still can't stun people through the Geistskull, which is a bit of a shame, but makes sense. But it's a useful way to detonate. So the way you can use this is breach and clear. So you have the skull boost and then charge, and then you breach and clear with the void jammer, who then uses the detonate to hit a bunch of people. The blast range is lower, so you kind of just need to charge people. Then you've got interference pulse for 1 action point. Select 1 enemy operative visible and within 8 inches of friendly operative of a Geistskull operative. Roll a d6, adding 1 to the result if the enemy operative is a valid target for that friendly Geistskull. On a free up, subtract 1 from the enemy optative's APL stand until the end of the activation. So ignore me, because it didn't read. So what you can do when you do this breach and clear, or if your skull's on a vantage point or whatever, you have the Geistskull charge. Then when you switch to the void jammer, you do an interference pulse to pick someone on, at least on a free up, they're -1 APL, then you detonate. So otherwise the void jammer is unchanged. It's useful taking it by itself as well, including the previous operative, the surveyor, because then they just count as normal operatives who are just 1 activation instead of taking normal warriors, which are now GA2. So it gives you more activations. For your faction equipment, you have rebreathers. You can now change your APL stats to friendly operatives, and they aren't affected by enemy operative shock weapons. This is very good, especially onto teams that like to just spam stuns at you. So very good into Felgor Ravager. Then you've got slugs, up to 3 times per turning point. When a friendly operative is performing the shoot action and you select a shotgun long range, you can use this rule. Till the end of the action, you improve the hit stat of the weapon by 1 and add 1 to both its damage stats. So you hit on 4s, 2 free damage. Never take slugs. Then you got combat stims. You can ignore changes to the move stat for friendly operatives from being injured. This is okay, but I wouldn't take this as well. Then you've got system overdrive device. Once per turning point, 1 friendly operative can perform the operate hatch action for 1 less AP. This used to basically just open a hatch at the start of every turn on turning point 1 of every game of Gallodark. It's good for Gallodark, but not great on open and other kill zones. So I'd always take the rebreathers, then I'd probably invest in just useful universal equipment, which is a shame. I think the only other kill teams who have had this kind of level of bad equipment are Honkin Jaegers, but at least System Override is really good on Gallodark. It's just when you're not playing on Gallodark, you're only really needing rebreathers. Combat stims aren't that great, and slugs are just not great as well. So for Operative Selection, this is really funny. If you're collecting this kill team, you have to buy 2 boxes because you cannot build a legal team from 1 box now, because the cat and the Geistskull count as half an operative each. If you select them, you cannot build a legal team because in the box you get 12 operatives, so you can't. Well, I think it's like 11 operatives or something like that. But it's funny. It's so funny. I only realized it because friends pointed it out to me. So this is an automatic 2-box kill team. You always take the leader with the with the auto pistol and power weapon, because those are the best weapons for it to have. Then you kind of flex based on your opponent. I'm actually a fan of the cat and the Geistskull, but the problem is the cat is better in 2 elites. If you take the Geistskull and the cat, even though you have 12 operatives, your kill up goes down to 10, which means it's easier for your opponent to score the kill up, which is not good. It's better on like larger teams, but going down to a kill up of 10 for such a fragile team isn't great. So you have to keep that in mind. But generally, I like the Axejack, the Endurant, the Grenadier, 2 Gunners, the Hatch Cat, the Hatch Cutter, the Surveyor, and the Void Jammer. So that leaves you with 3 other operatives to take, which are usually 3 armsmen. And then you could also take 2 armsmen and then the Cat and the Geistskull. But as I said, that would leave you with 1 operative you can't build. So that's why you need the other operative. You can also, that's how you basically do it. The other annoying thing is in the box, you can only build effectively either 2 Gunners or the Endurant. So that's why you actually need an extra box. So you can build both Gunners and then, well, all 3 Gunner types as well as the Endurant, because the Endurant's really useful. You're always taking the Melter Gun and then you're flexing between the Plasma Gun and the Lance Volley, which has gotten worse. But it's kind of the drawback. It's very interesting. I see why they did it from a rule standpoint to kind of, you know, because they didn't want those operatives to be full operatives in terms of the Geistskull and Cat. but now you're locked into buying 2 boxes because a 1 box ain't legal. So crazy, so crazy. But yeah, unfortunately, this is an automatic 2-box team. And then into elites, I would always take the cat, because the cat is very useful because you pick someone who's activated. If they're behind light, then you can punish them with the cat. And the Guy Skull is just good at dumping -1 APL on stuff. So for the Imperial Navy Breachers overview, they are a lot worse. They are still amazing on Gallowdark, like really, really good on Gallowdark. Everywhere else, they're not great. They were living on stims that used to give them +1 wound. Because remember, your gunners are 8 wounds, but you put everyone on 8 wounds and your gunners on 9. So crazy, and they've lost that, which they needed to lose. Their ploys have been toned down a bit, you know, like now close assault now needs you to roll a crit to get punishing. Well, you get punishing, so you need to get crit to get the other hit. They're not as oppressive. They've got ceaseless instead of balance on their attack orders, and they can reposition them. But they are a more honest kill team instead of just kind of being this weird, abusive stat check team that were like, oh yeah, we're a horde team with a 4-up armor save, and now everyone's minimum 8 wounds, and you're like, this is crazy. Their shotguns only doing 3 damage in on freeze. It's a bit of a drawback, but it's kind of what happened when they introduced better and bigger shotguns. It's nice that most of your operatives are on 25mm bases, apart from your gunners, and your Enduring are on 28mm. They are ridiculous on Gallowdark. This team is still very, very good. You've got Brace for counterattack, so you can just abuse all of that, which is very, very useful. The weakness is you don't have a way to heal anymore. I think you never did before. And outside of Gallowdark, you're just kind of struggling because you don't really have a useful long-range profile. Before, you would take the Las Volley and the Plasma Gun, but you could threaten people with your Plasma Gun by overcharging, which you can't do anymore. And the Las Volley is kind of unreliable now that it just has punishing. I thought they could have given it ceaseless instead of rending, sorry. So it's not as useful. The team still has a lot of tricks, but I struggle to see how they work well on open. But this was a problem they had before. It's only made worse because of how the team is designed. Like, as I said, if you're going to a Gallowdark only event, run Breachers and you'll have a blast. And even if you're in a mixed tournament, pray you just always get paired onto Gallowdark. But I still think they're very neat. Your opponent does have to be careful into them, because when you blitz and you do your counterattack, you can do really powerful combos. And the problem is, at the end of every turning point, you need to set up 2 different breach and clear points. But the problem you have now is very hard for you to penetrate the bubble of your opponent, because your Grenadier lost indirect on his demo charge and it's got reduced range, and you can't reposition and dash. You can only reposition and throw it. So you have to get around that. And the problem is, if your opponent survives, giving you initiative, you blitzing, and then your breach and clear failing, then they can just push through you and win. So once they endure your Guy Skull and all your other tricks, they kind of just push through and win. And I think elite teams are a really big struggle for this kill team, although you actually do quite well into weak shooty hordes. And melee hordes, the problem is their shtick was having axes, which were 3 attacks, 8 on 4s, 3-4, with close assault and all of that. But now most horde teams have a similar equipment. So Breachers have kind of lost their edge. I said, we're not playing on Gallowdark, but I guess it's fine to have a kill team locked primarily into 1 kill zone, and hopefully they'll learn from it to try and not do the same again, because thank goodness we're still playing with Gallowdark, otherwise this team wouldn't be that good. But that's pretty much it for me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of this video. What do you think of the Imperial Navy Breachers and their changes for the new edition? And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out free in the episode description below, and a Filling Element Games and Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adepts of the crit, I have Zombie Businessman, Tom, Super Cow, Sam, Stephen, Nick, Mercenary Q, Mr. Meatwad, Lucas, John Thomas, Graham, Fangzu, Draken, Dave Meets World, Darcy, Dad of Golden's, Chris, Samja, and then for my veterans of the crit, I have Samja, Ryan, and Mark. So thank you so much for all your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But yeah, I kind of like where Breachers are. It's just a weird spot. The main problem they have is they've been solely designed to work well in Gallowdark, which, as I keep repeating, they do very well. And look, I waited till the end of the review. If you want to win with this kill team, you run them in Inquisitorial Agents. Look, I left it till the end. Everyone's probably checked off by now. Yeah, you thought I'd mention it during the review? Oh no, I was waiting. Or edging it out with my Inquisitorial Agents. Unfortunately, they are better than Inquisitorial Agents, and that's the way you want to run them if you want to win, which is bizarre because Inquisitorial Agents fit all their flaws, but that's a problem with Inquisitorial Agents. But remember, no matter how hard you're beating Breachers, unless you're playing them in Gallowdark, you always have a chance to win, as long as you can roll a crit.